All right, fam. Welcome back to another episode of Rewatch Culture. Today we're getting into episodes 9 and 10 of season 2, and Hillman was acting a fool as usual. Let's start with episode 9 because Kimberly and Robert had me clutching my pearls from the opening scene. Let's set the stage. Kim and her boyfriend are making out like they're trying to win a trophy, and Whitley walks in, just stands there staring at him. Like these two don't even notice that she's there. Not a flinch. They don't stop what they're doing. Whitley finally walks back to the door and slams it so that they can notice that she's there. Okay. I just can't even. Obviously, this is awkward and it leads Kim and Whitley to kind of create a system because if Kim and her boyfriend are going to be getting into it, Whitley doesn't want to walk into that. It's uncomfortable. They create a scarf on the door system, which is cute in theory. But Kim starts abusing it. Like Kim and Robert are just going at it like little rabbits. The scarf is always on the door. In fact, there's a scene where Whitley is going through it. She has broken her heels. She has had to limp back to campus and she needs to go up to her room and change her shoes before her next class. Well, guess what? The scarf is on the door at like 11:58 a.m. I'm sorry, why weren't Kim and Robert in class? But I digress. If the scarf is rocking, don't come a knocking. I know that was corny, but let me live. On the other side of campus, Freddie is in her poetry class. And this man, Randall, he is so monotone. He is reading his poem like he's half sedated. Like, put a little bass in your voice, some emphasis or something. I was falling asleep as this man was reading. Freddie critiques him, and apparently this is her reputation because he immediately goes, "Do you have to call on her? She doesn't like anything." And then he tells her straight-faced, "I hate you." Well, damn, tell her how you really feel. And as we see Randall in other episodes, that's just his personality, kind of like uptight, wasn't really a fan. Whitley, when she was having her little meltdown because her shoes broke, she came in talking about how she hates chihuahuas and they look like little rats. Now, see, I have a chihuahua, so I took personal offense to that. My sweet girl, she's an angel, okay? She's not like a typical yip yap dogs because most of the time when people meet her, they actually say to me, "I normally hate chihuahuas, but I don't hate yours." So Whitley, don't piss me off. Moving on. Back in the dorm, Kim and Robert are still over here going at it. So Whitley goes to the pit while Kim is working, and she tries to talk to her about her arrangement. Now, when I say she tries to talk to her, she basically demands that she doesn't want Robert over in the room ever again. And of course, Kim is not going for it. Like, this is her man. And she lets her know we're going to be spending a lot of time together. So Whitley goes out in the quad and she's sitting on the steps and she's like simmering. She is not happy. And Dwayne comes down there and he's trying to talk to her. And he's like, "We could also go inside because it's freezing." And Whitley's like, "No more Mrs. Nice Girl." And honestly, I felt that in my spirit. Like, stop playing in my face. You know you are monopolizing the room right now. Freddie is still doing team too much with this poetry. She's supposed to be the editor for a poetry review. And oh my gosh, Winston. Winston is the sweetheart that Dwayne tutored a few episodes back. So he is in this class and he gives her one of his poems. It was like a poem about an ode to an aunt. Not for me, but it was for him, and that's all that matters. And Freddie basically ran a red pin all through that thing. She demolished what he was doing. She ends up getting fired from being the poetry editor because she literally shredded everybody's poem. Girl, this is college. Not everybody is a born poet, and poetry doesn't have to be perfect. People are just expressing their emotions, and you have to let them do that. So I think the professor did the right thing by firing her from the position, and actually Winston got it instead. And he tells her, "Don't worry, I'll try not to be too hard on you." So that was cute there. Now, Whitley, when she said previously, "No more Mrs. Nice Girl," I didn't think she was about to do what she does. She comes over to the boys' room. Robert's in the room, Randall's in the room, and Dwayne's in the room, and his tidy whities. And they're playing, I think they're playing like a card game. They got breadsticks in their mouths pretending to be cigars. And all of them were talking like Mr. Cosby. I don't know if that was the purpose, because, this is a spinoff of The Cosby Show, but that's where they were giving. And Whitley comes in the room and she just starts tearing it apart. She's like, Robert, is that your bed? And she starts throwing stuff off of his bed. Randall is pissed. Randall's like, what is this? So, of course, he's going to go get the coach because you need to stop what's going on. Now, Jasmine Guy's acting in this scene had me hollering. She was so dramatic. Her facial expressions, she was just doing the absolute most, and it cracked me up so bad. Kim finally shows up, and she's like, Whitley, what are you doing? We need to talk. And Whitley's like, I tried to talk to you. And Kim is like, no, what you did is you tried to demand to me. And Whitley's like, well, you should have known what the problem was. They were both wrong in their own right, but they talk it out and they make up. I just love the two of them together. This is a good friendship. And Whitley, she ends the episode with, Kim, did you see Dwayne in them shorts with them ashy knees? This shade. Miss Whitley Gilbert never misses. And then, Coach, when Dwayne is leaving the room, he's like, why are you in your underwear, boy? So Dwayne is obviously, of course, embarrassed. He's trying to pull his shirt down over his tidy whities. And he was like, I was doing laundry. So y'all just exposed my man to the world like that. But that was episode 9. Now, episode 10. This episode is all about student activism. But of course, make it a little messy. Dwayne is doing his radio show from the pit, and Ron brings in Dapper Dan's tape so Dwayne can be the first one to play it. The kids are in there jamming, they're having a good time until Dean Hughes shuts the show down. And Mr. Gaines comes out, and he's like, they were moaning like heifers in heat. I had to pause. I was not ready for that man to come out and say that. He says some good stuff. Randall is back too, and he still does not see it for Freddie. They actually work together in the dean's office. At this point, he's a personal vendetta against that girl. So the students, they go to Dean Hughes' office to demand to be spoken with because they want to know, why did they get taken off the air? And Randall's like, she's not available till Thursday. And Dwayne says, that's not good enough. I need to see her now. So then all the students decide that they're going to do a sit-in protest until they get some answers. Randall's in there losing his mind. He's going back and forth. I need to go. I got a colon problem. My man's going through it right now. Whitley comes in there to drop off some paperwork, and then when Randall leaves, he locks the door. Whitley actually ends up getting locked in with this protest. Only Whitley Gilbert would accidentally find herself in a protest. Whitley is in there going off on these kids. She's like, we're freezing. You're all going to die. I'm personally going to talk to each and every one of you about what you're doing. You know, typical Whitley, doing the most. She's, goody-goody. Walter comes in there, and he is trying to negotiate. The students give him a list of their demands. Honestly, I thought very reasonable for the most part. They said, bring back Dwayne's show, stop censorship, and immunity for all protesters. 3 things. They didn't ask for $1 million or a car to get away. Other people probably would have taken advantage of. So the students have been in this protest all night. They're all asleep at this point. And Ron actually takes Dapper Dan's tape and he listens to it. They hadn't listened to it before because they were just so eager to get it on the radio. And he gives Dwayne the tape and he's like, you actually probably should take a listen to this. And Dwayne listens to it and he's like, homeboy is a freak, sir. And I get the excitement about trying to get it on the radio, trying to be the first to do something. But you really have to vet what you're doing because now you're 10 toes down for a cause and you didn't even listen to what you put on the radio. So the kids make it through the night. They're outside making breakfast. Ron's like, oh my God, do I smell bacon? They're trying to get these kids out of this campus. The dean finally comes in. Homegirl is sick. After Dwayne listens to the tape, Walter is back in there and they go to a separate room to talk. And the kids think that Dwayne is in there giving Walter the business, letting him know what is what. And Dwayne is actually in there like, oh my God, I think I did the wrong thing. Can you just drag me out by my coat and make it look a certain way? Dwayne has found him in this situation where all these people have done this and protested with him, but he doesn't really feel like it's the right thing. The dean is in there and Dwayne actually steps up and he's talking about how other activists before them were fighting for free speech. but he's not sure that they were fighting for free speech like this in this tape that was made. Another random thought that I had, where is Dwayne's girlfriend through all of this? Like, him and Suzanne are still together. I haven't heard that they broke up yet. Your man is in this protest and he didn't call you, he didn't text you, you didn't pop up on him. She was Casper in this hoe. That didn't make any sense to me, but whatever, we'll move on. At the end of the episode, the dean lets Dwayne know that his show is going to be suspended for a month, but he will still be allowed to do his Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. tribute. And that is how the episode ends. And it's short and sweet. And it's Dwayne playing the music and talking about how they're reflecting on Dr. King's life and legacy. And it hands over different students where they are in silence, and you can see the reflection in their faces. And it was just perfect and beautiful. So always honoring the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now let's get into our line of the week. This line of the week goes to none other than Whitley Gilbert for Kim, did you see Dwayne in them shorts with them ashy knees? Honestly, at this point, I should just have a Whitley-isms corner because she stays delivering the funniest, shady lines every single episode. Now let's talk about our Rewatch Revelation. As I was watching this again, here's what hit me. Dwayne was 10 toes down for a cause he didn't fully understand. He was ready to fight for free speech, ready to lead a protest, ready to stand on business, and he hadn't even listened to the full CD. And that right there is so real today. People repost things, argue online, take stances, and spread information without doing any research. And with AI in the mix now, misinformation spreads faster than ever. Before you share something, before you repost it, just, take a little bit of time to do a little bit of research before we share misinformation. And I used to be one of those people too. I would see something, I would see the headline, and I would just share it. And I'd go back and find out that that was actually never said. Then I feel stupid for sharing something that I hadn't even begun to try to wrap my head around in the first place. Now, I don't believe in censorship, but I do believe in a time and a place for certain things. Maybe there was an edited version of Dapper Dan's music he could have played instead. But the bigger point is, don't be ready to fight for something you haven't even looked into, okay? Because when you are 10 toes down for something, you should actually know what you're 10 toes down for. You should be able to talk and explain about your beliefs. And I feel like that happens so often in politics even. People vote for this side or that side, but when you ask them what policy did you vote for, they have no clue. Just saying. But Dwayne learned the hard way, but he stepped up like a man and he made the situation right. Now, speaking of staying informed, y'all know the new A Different World reboot drops September 24th on Netflix. The trailer just came out. Everybody's talking about it. Just so my fam knows, I will be clocked in on YouTube doing reviews. So make sure you're subscribed because we're going to have a time over there. I want y'all to come over there and interact, kiki with me in the comments, and let's see what this reboot is given. All right, y'all. That's all I have this week. Thanks for pulling up on me. See you next Sunday. And before you dip, go ahead and leave a rating and review. It really helps me grow, and it costs absolutely nothing to show your girl a little bit of love. For more nostalgia and chaos between episodes, though, which, reminder, drop every Sunday, follow at Rewatch Culture Pod on all your socials. Thanks for joining me today.